Hi there, and welcome to Altcast. I'm your host, Alec, and I'm so glad that you've joined me today. It's a very, very special day for me because it's the day that I get to release the podcast where I interview Joe Wilkinson. He is the lead singer of Jett Black Alley Cat, one of my personal favorite local bands here in Nashville. First of all, I want to thank Joe for taking time out of his day to come over and help me out and do something like this for me. When Joe first came over, to be honest, I was very nervous, so I didn't do an intro like I wanted to. So that's why I'm doing this now. They recently announced a new tour. I'm very excited for it. I already got my tickets. Check out their website. They're an amazing band to see live. They really, really care about their fans. There's a very genuine connection between them and their fans, and we'll talk about that later in the episode. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Joe Wilkinson.
Right?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, is your truck prepared for something like that?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, you got the tires? And,
always, man. Always.
I like this biker jacket that you got going.
Thanks,
this.
man. What do you think?
That's awesome.
Dude,
Where'd you
actually
get that?
I did not buy this. Somebody moved into a house in the middle, it was like a house, like an hour and a half outside of Nashville, so middle of nowhere. And they moved it when they were looking at the house. They just found this jacket laying in the house.
No way.
Yeah.
That's not even like a thrift store find or anything. That's just.
This is premium biker jacket, baby.
Yeah. And how
awesome.
do you adapt to like cold weather like this? Are you used to it? I mean, I see that you got the Clarksville area code. Are you from Clarksville?
931. No, I'm actually 931 is south of. I grew up south. It's like an hour and a half south. It's like on the Tennessee-Alabama border. Is where my parents grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's where my parents live currently. They live in
what's
Athens.
The town? Athens, Alabama.
My parents moved to Athens,
Awesome.
Alabama.
My parents live in Winchester, right across the border. Yeah.
Okay.
I know Athens.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, is that where you're from? Is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been here for. I guess I was in Murfreesboro for 2 years, and then here. I guess it's been 6 years now.
Okay.
Shit, that seems like a long time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So was that for college or anything, or did you?
I went to Murfreesboro for MTSU, and then I dropped out of there and moved here.
Oh, you went to MTSU.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there for, I guess, 2 years.
Okay, what'd you study?
Accounting.
Okay. Yeah, how'd that go?
Should I watch my language in this?
No.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Feel free to go as crazy as you want. The nice thing about podcasting is like audio quality doesn't really matter. Like the content of you could have like a Skype call, and that it's
about the content for sure.
And so for something like
is.
Music, you have to make it pleasing to the ear, and so it has to obviously be produced. But with podcasts, you can get away without really producing. I mean, obviously, I snip out a lot of stuff, and there is a producing part of it. But as far as audio quality goes, you're good.
Cool, man. Awesome.
Good. I guess back to your upbringing.
Yeah.
So I guess like your formative years, like what middle school, elementary school, what was that like?
So I grew up actually in a very small town. I actually grew up on a farm. On a 200-acre farm. My dad has some animals, but it's not really that. It's more built around it. My dad has a nursery. It's a tree farm.
Okay.
And so I grew up there. We didn't have cable TV. Mm-hmm. We didn't have, a bunch of the things that kids were used to. So I spent a lot of my time running around outside. I played sports when I was young, all the way through high school, actually. My early years were very sport-based.
Okay.
I didn't actually get into music until my senior year of high school. Now, that is not that I never had interest in music. I was I was a big NSYNC fan growing up. That was kind of like loved NSYNC.
Like JT.
I was the type of person that would sing all the time in the shower, and you get the knock on the door like, "Hey, you got to stop singing."
Yeah.
That was mine. But I mean, just growing up in the small town, you really don't have a ton of options of things to do. So it was sports. It was running outside with friends.
Is it basketball?
Basketball, football, baseball. I was really good at baseball when I started. Then I kind of like the middle years is where I really started to become better at basketball, and that kind of led me to I almost played college basketball. which was unique.
Did someone like offer you?
Yeah, I had an offer from the school in Missouri, Southwest Baptist, and then like a half offer from another church school, like NAI type school.
Okay.
I went on a visit there, but they had so many rules, man. They had like rules that you couldn't have girls in your dorm past 8. The doors had to be open, and
super
it's like
conservative.
I didn't have these rules with my mom. You know what I mean? I can't imagine having these rules when I went to college.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just didn't line up, and I feel like the paths didn't really work out that direction. But yeah, that was kind of like my life growing up was middle of nowhere, dude. That's why coming to these cities was a big change for me. It was way different. Luckily, I had a brother and a sister that were older than me, 7 and 5 years older, that kind of, I don't know, I felt like I got a lot of guidance from them early on. Especially from my brother, was like my idol.
Yeah.
And, that really helped. Seeing, like, them hit the college years and the high school to college years, like, way before me. I almost felt like I would hang out with some of the older kids, because they were hanging out with them. So I don't know. I got a little bit more culture than most kids in my age in that town.
So you're the youngest of 3. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. So
way younger too. 5 and 7 years.
That's exactly. I'm the youngest of 3, with the same age gap with my brother and sister. Like 4.5. And
is your brother the
7.
oldest or your sister the oldest?
No, my sister's the oldest.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I have I've never really fleshed it out like that, but I definitely was hanging around the bigger kids more.
Sure.
You
learned to fit in a little better.
Yeah, I remember I went to like a college, like I went to a Lipscomb like house party. Like I was like a sophomore, junior in high school.
You got that early invite.
Yeah, and like there were like drugs and drinking and everything, and I was there was all that stuff back home, but it was like the college atmosphere. It was just like I was surrounded by people in their early 20s.
Hear you.
Yeah.
Exciting. It's fun
exactly.
stuff.
And so going back to sports, I was into sports a lot too, but for baseball, it's like when you get to stop playing baseball, because with baseball, like you're either all in or you're not.
Yeah,
because
I hear you.
Once you hit the high school level, the pitching, especially like with the training, and nowadays like kids are throwing junk at like early ages, and they're like bigger, and they're just like that caps off for everyone at some point. And so
I agree.
You gotta find out what it is that you want. And so if you're screaming in the shower, that's a good alternative.
For sure.
So any instruments? Did you learn any instruments like piano or guitar or anything?
I can dabble on some chords on piano. Nothing special. I think I wrote my first song on piano maybe last year. That's like I don't touch instruments that often. I try to focus on just the creative side, the vocals, the lyrics. That's my forte. They can handle the rest. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the wrong way to approach it, but for us, that's kind of the way it's been. We just tried to, I don't know, everybody stay in their lane is really what it's been. But yeah, I never really did much of that early on. I was a big, like I said, I sang a lot, and it wasn't until my junior year of high school that at the end of my junior year, leading into my senior year, I started playing. I had a buddy that played acoustic guitar, and that was the first time I ever wrote songs for real. And that just, I was obsessed with it. I remember we would hang out on Friday nights, and he'd be like, wanting to do other things, and I'd say, no, we got to work on these songs, man. I was obsessed with songs. And that's what kind of led me into my freshman year. I went into my freshman year of college just looking to find a band. And that's kind of how I started running this route, I suppose. Okay. Yeah.
So, that walks us perfectly into our next. So, take us through, meeting the other members of your band.
So freshman year of college, I don't think I knew anybody in the dorm that I moved into. I moved into one of the bigger dorms on the MTSU campus. We lived on there was the 7th floor, so it was the tallest floor in this building, and it was all aerospace kids. So aerospace kids, I don't know if you know, but they're fucking insane.
Yeah.
These kids are crazy, and you wouldn't expect it, but they are, man.
Kind of like Huntsville.
Yeah,
Because
I
that's
know.
what Huntsville's.
I love Huntsville.
It's
actually.
like a melting pot, and then
Yes.
it has like the highest PhD per capita in the nation.
Huntsville is an awesome city.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time there.
Yeah.
But yes, this floor was full of
Nerds.
aerospace kids. Yeah, and they were there to party and to. Some were there for school. Most of them were there to do crazy shit.
Okay.
But there was one room right across the hall from me that I saw this guy come out of, and he didn't look anything like the aerospace kids. He looked like a music guy, and I thought, yes, this is what I'm talking. Like, luckily, I've seen somebody that looks like me. So, I think a day passed, and I ended up walking past his door when he opened the door, and I saw a bunch of Paramore stuff in there, and I'm a big Paramore fan. It was actually one of my first concerts.
Okay.
And I saw that, and so I ended up talking to him, and that was Zach, our guitar player, the one with the beard. At the time, he had no beard, which is unique now.
I was about to say.
No beard. So that was kind of how we started. Me and him started playing acoustic guitar. We ended up, one of his friends lived in a different dorm, told us there was a guy across there that was looking to be in a band, and that was Christian. And that kind of developed like a year and a half. All we did was play acoustic.
Yeah.
I think we played maybe one or two on-campus shows that were
So
nothing
it's just two
at
guitarists
all.
and a singer?
Yeah, that's all it was at the time.
Okay.
We had no idea what we were doing. We ended up meeting our bass player the following year at a barbecue. We had moved into an apartment complex, and luckily this kid was just sitting by himself by the pool because the barbecue was happening. He didn't look like he had very many friends yet. I looked at him and I said, "Yo, do you play bass?" I don't really know why I asked him this, why I would know this, and he said, "Actually, yeah." And that's Chris, he's our bass player, and then I guess maybe it was 2 years after that we met Bryant.
Okay.
We kind of went through a phase where we had a couple of different drummers that we would play shows through town. We had a different name, we had different stuff. We never really put music out, and we went through that phase for I guess maybe a year and a half. Or no, it's probably a year. And then that next year we decided that if we wanted to be good, we needed to stop playing shows and we needed to figure out how to be good. That was when we met our first producer who really taught us so much about how to function as a band and how to grow.
His name?
His name is Roger Nichols. He produced Paramore early on. He did Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown. Does a lot. He just actually he worked on the new Larkin Poe record that is nominated for a Grammy this year, which is super exciting.
Okay.
Congrats to them. Yeah, so that's who we met, and he was like mentor, taught us so much of how to function. Yeah, it was exactly what we needed at the time to figure out how to be a band, because that's what he had done was build bands. I know. Yeah, so that's kind of how we got going. We met Bryant through a friend right when we had written Poison. That was our first real song that we had written. And I guess we'd written a few more, but that was the first one that we had decided we were going to release. And that's when we met Bryant to come down and shoot a music video with us. Because at the time, that drummer that was playing with us decided he was going to move back home. And that's when we met Brian. Since then, dude, we've been the same five guys ever since. Wow. Yeah, it's been a hell of an adventure.
Yeah. So you just kept you just picked them up as you went along.
That's what it feels like. That was my goal, man. Find a band, build a band, and that's what I did. I mean, that's what we. Luckily, I mean, it's so hard when you meet people and you try to build a group, because people don't realize how intertwined your lives become and how much you need everybody to be on the same page, the same focus, the same goals. And dude, we were so blessed to find five guys that were this way. I don't know how we've stuck together, because I mean it has been the lowest of the lows, some highs, you know what I mean, but everybody's just always kind of stuck with it.
Wow. And so in those times you were writing part one?
Yeah, we wrote part one over the first 3 years of being a band, because at the time, like I said, we were learning how to be a band. So we would do one song, we would go shoot a video for it, and then we would do one song. Like the guy that we were working with, obviously his rates were really expensive, but because he was cutting us such a deal to build the band, that's why we had to do it kind of one song at a time. We just didn't have the money to pay for more, and so then we did Memphis, then we did Razors, Roxy, Golden, like all those songs were the 5 songs that we had built. And then we decided to do 2 more. We did High Class is the one we went in to do, and then we were when we were in the studio that day, we did High Class, and he said, I think we should record that other song, She's Alright. And he said, I don't want to make a ton of changes to it, let's just play through it and let's get it, and then we'll, you know, do some overdubs in the room. And She's Alright now turned out to be one of our better songs.
It's a fantastic song.
Yeah, thank you, man. So that's kind of how we built part one, was just organically, and that's why you can kind of hear a difference between the songs from 1 to 8 or 9, I guess, with Pretty Girl on there. It was genuinely built over 3 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I like
that's
it.
A lot, yeah, that shows like a lot of growth and maturity throughout the album, and that's, it's palpable, really.
Appreciate that.
So that was like basically 2014 to 2017 was the
2014 to right at the beginning of 2017, because right at the beginning of 2017 is when we started building the Motel EP. 2017 was my favorite year of life, man. I was 25 years old, and dude, that year is iconic in my mind. We were living a crazy lifestyle, making songs. We were on tour with, at that time, so like the two bands that we've built a relationship with in terms of experiences was that tour with Camino and Hardcastle. Those are the two bands that we came up with. I remember when we were first talking to people, like we'd trade a show with Camino in Memphis and they'd come play with us in Nashville, and then they would trade a show with Hardcastle in Atlanta, and then they'd come to Memphis and play with them. Then Camino would go to St. Louis with us, we'd go to Little Rock with them, and we each had our two cities that we were good in. Yeah. And I don't know, it's just a unique thing to see how we built that, and to see, I don't know, these bands being successful, and just know that, like, man, we came from nothing, you know what I mean? To kind of try to get to wherever we're going.
Yeah,
so,
oh my gosh, look at the band Camino
Dude,
now.
booming, baby. I love it. Those dudes are super intelligent, and they're great writers.
Yes, oh my gosh, the college girls are going nuts for them.
Yeah,
now,
they
man.
got them.
And Hardcastle is just so... Yeah, I wish that they had more of a following than they do, obviously. I never knew it was one of those songs that I have yet to get tired of. Like, you'll make Spotify playlists, and then, like, you'll listen to that playlist, and then, like, that playlist will bring you back in time because you haven't listened to a while. And that song, I can listen to that song over and over and over again.
I hear you, man.
But when I was talking to the band Camino, when we met them, I was asking them kind of the same thing of, like, why do these bands, like, come out with, like, one song and then one song? So I was like, is it, like, a lack of studio time or studio space or, like, availability? Because, you're just, at some point you're just a bunch of broke guys trying to make songs with very little resources, so the times that you do get those studio spaces or in contact with certain producers, that's what I always like to shed some light on, because those years, like, they are really good at bring out the creative, they're good to, like, tap into more creative potential because there is a struggle. Yeah. And you'll see a lot of artists, they get complacent, or they get comfortable, or they get, they get the money, they get whatever they need, and then the creativity stops, and you see that a lot. So, yeah, I'm curious to hear about the, I guess, like, the touring lifestyle, or, like, the, because you go to cities and, meet a lot of people. So, like, explain your, I guess, special relationships with cities like Miami or Memphis or any other special places.
You go so many places that, some towns that are not even in a city, smaller towns, then you go to big cities, so you get such a wide range of opinion that when you hit some cities that, I don't know, just speak to you, it's super cool. Every experience we've had in Miami, like, some nights, honestly, some nights you play the show, you talk to the people at the show, and you get in your van and you drive. And you don't get to experience the town. You don't have any interest in going out. You're just tired. And then some nights, things just happen, and and that's what's unique to me about certain cities that stand out, like Miami. Is every time we were there, there was an event that happened every single time we've been there. Every single time we've been there. What are the chances that something every time we're in that city happens? And that's what kind of, I don't know, draws me to that city. One, I love the lights just in general, the flat walls, the flat, the flat white out like masked walls with the neon. Just like that's the only decoration.
The 80s kind of aesthetic?
Yes, I'm a huge Scarface, that type vibe. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that kind of coloring is what I prefer. But I don't know, that city, I mean, we've built friends there. We were in Miami with Camino, like great times then. I don't know, that city, trying to think, especially now on the West Coast, Bakersfield, California, not necessarily a popular city, but our friends in a band called the Hate Drugs. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Hate Drugs. I feel like I've heard of it.
Listen to them, man. They have some really special music. They they live in Bakersfield, California, and it's a smaller city between San Francisco and LA. And I don't know, man. It's just certain towns that you meet people that everyone's willing to go out, function, or even just go back to people's places. Saratoga Springs, New York, random place. It snowed so much. I think it was. Now you got to think. You asked me how I equip with the cold. I don't. I have the same clothes for wintertime as I do summertime. Yeah. So that was wild being in Saratoga Springs. It was. I remember we were driving to the city, and our windshield wiper, like it was so frozen that the windshield wipers weren't working. We were having to reach out of the front of the van and try to clean a spot for the window for the driver to see, while also being on an interstate. The scariest drive we've ever made. But I think we got there and there was like a foot of snow. We played the show, and then we ended up just going back to this guy's house and, I mean, kicking it all night long. We have some great memories, some great footage from those shows as well.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The tour life is something different. It doesn't feel real. It feels like a dream while you're on it. Although, there's plenty of hardships. I mean, we sleep in our floors a lot of times, our van floors. We have specific pallets and different things made. We've gotten better at that, by the way. Yeah, it's a dream. I don't know how to say it more than it's a dream that's not easy. People think, oh, a dream, this is special, this is easy. Being in a band is real life. It's hard, but at the same time, you feel like you're walking in a dream. A dream headspace. Then you come home and it takes you 4 days to recover.
Yeah. The thing that, and just kind of taking a little tangent here, when we saw you at the East Room,
okay,
and it was really cool because your parents were there.
Yeah.
And you had taken. I forgot whose birthday. I think it was your mom's birthday, or I forgot if it was.
My mom's birthday.
Yeah, it was your mom's birthday, and you had and you got her flowers or something like that, and then during a song you had brought, and it was a thing, and before the show, everyone's just standing around, and here you, and you just walk out and just start talking to people. You make it such a personal experience, and you're allowed to do that, at the expense of all the sleepless nights and all the hardships like you were talking about. But just as someone on the ground, as someone in the, I guess in the crowd, it's especially some of those shows, the shows you put on are amazing. When you go online and you read what people are saying about you, it's just see the band live, and you have the shirts that say that, and anyone that I talk to, or anyone that I mention Jet Black, I was, the live presence is just such a different, obviously, feel from when you're just sitting and listening to it. But I think the I don't know, the Lovers Club and everything, I think really establishes a very personal feeling to your songs. So what's Lovers Club about? It's a really good idea to get an email list together. Sure. That's a big thing. But take us into what Lovers Club is.
Yeah. Lovers Club, I don't know, we started this idea of calling, I don't know, we wanted to develop a bit more, like you said, listening to our songs just on record and then seeing us live. I don't know, how sometimes you realize you have strengths and weaknesses, and a lot of people don't like to necessarily focus on their weaknesses. Well, I don't know, sometimes it just feels like we don't always, I feel that we don't ever fully execute in the studio. Some bands, I feel like just they kick ass in the studio, and we've just always done so well live. I don't know why. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know. We've worked on growing at it, obviously. We're trying to always do better. But we started realizing that our relationships with people in the room, in person, and as much of a connection as we can build was our strength. And the Lovers Club, so we just started calling people around I call it Lovers USA. That was kind of like when I first started, that was kind of like this idea that I came up with. It was like, there's people everywhere, all across the U.S., Lovers USA. That's our group kind of thing. So when we started the Lovers Club, a year and a half ago, maybe? Something like that. I think that's right. Maybe a year and a half, maybe a little longer. We wanted to get back to, at that point I was almost obsessed with, I was going to take all of our social media down and just only send out information the way it used to be back in the day, where a huge package went out to anybody who was invested, and it had when our shows were going to be, it had photo packages in it, it had all this stuff, and it was only done through mail. So that was something I was like obsessed with, and everybody said, Joe, that's insane, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided, okay, well, let's develop some sort of like pen pal writing where people can actually get back to communicating properly. One, because I don't even remember how to write half the time. I look at my handwriting and I think I can't write at all. But people get back to like actually speaking and communicating, because I don't think that we do a very good job at that. I mean, sometimes you text people and they don't even ask you questions. You're the only one asking them questions. It's like,
yes.
Do people not know? Like, yes. One, are they not interested in asking questions? Yes. And two, do they know how? So that's something that I wanted to do, and the Lovers Club kind of came out of it, and we have built relationships with people, talked to people all across the country that, it shows you just don't get a chance to talk to. The music's loud, you don't really get to know a lot about somebody.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've tried to do. It's been difficult because you get way behind because there's so many people you're writing to.
Yeah.
But
well, that's what this is for.
Yeah, that was the goal of it.
Okay, so basically Lovers USA, you have to send in a handwritten letter to get in, basically. Mm-hmm. Like you provide your email, but it's basically you're going to get exclusive content like songs, photos, merchandise, mm-hmm. basically, and you have to remain in the club to, in order to remain in the club, you have to write a letter each month, basically.
Yeah, you have to consistently respond.
Yeah. But, that's...
I feel like it's pretty simple. It's not asking a lot out of people.
It's really not.
We've sent... we have, like a bunch of different interlude tracks that we've sent to people.
That's awesome.
Typically, the people in the Lovers Club, especially in the cities, they'll know about... in the letters we're writing, we'll actually tell those people, like, if we're playing a show in their city far before we ever announce it. Okay. So, like, that's... I feel like it's that type of stuff that we try to give. We give a bunch of stuff.
I'd be snapping Polaroids and just like everyone, just throw a Polaroid, even if it's someone sitting down on the couch.
No, it's true.
But like, what are some of the responses that you've gotten?
You mean just in terms of conversation? And,
yeah.
Dude, it's neat. So we have a board in our kind of like our workroom, I guess.
Okay.
It's a big U.S. map, and it has all the spots in basically markers in every city that we've ever played in the U.S. And on this board, any sort of, like, we get photos from people. We get photos from people who just went on mission trips, people who are just in L.A., like where they go to school, people who've made us bracelets.
Cool.
And we have it all tacked around the board. So those are kind of like our ways to remember. We keep every letter. We have a file cabinet of every person's last name. So whatever they go through. There's all the letters are filed in the thing, so they're not just being thrown away. It's
like a fan archive.
Yeah, it kind of is, man. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's hard. I will say it's hard to keep up. We're going to keep trying to keep it up, though. It's just, man, it is a time consumer.
Okay,
but,
I can only imagine. But like you're getting instead of like getting an email or you're getting a physical piece of even if it's just like a small piece of effort, mm-hmm. but you're just like all these little like positivity interactions in like the physical form. It's not
Agree.
Which I guess
it takes time for people to do.
It does, and so that's how you know it's genuine.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know that you're getting actual fan responses.
Sure.
So I guess that kind of transitions nicely into like what you think the positive and negative effects of social media are, I guess, like from like a third person and then like your personal. So like mm-hmm. What do you like how do you think it's affecting some of our peers that are our age, and how has it affected you?
Let's see here. I have such a love-hate relationship with it. I mean, I love the ability to. I like Instagram not more as each photo, more as when you go to somebody's page and you just see how creative they are with their colors and
You got like the tilt. I like how
yeah,
you got, like, the
you like
tilt
my
thing.
tilt.
That was cool.
My ex-girlfriend used to make so much fun of me for that tilt, but it's like I never seen anybody do a tilt, so
Hey,
I just throw the tilt on.
I thought it was cool.
I appreciate that, man. I like that aspect of it. Obviously, it has helped our small band be able to reach far more people. I don't know. I don't. As someone who hasn't been able to get away, I stopped for a little bit and then I started back. As someone who hasn't been able to get away with it, I don't know if I'm the proper person to speak, but sometimes I don't know. I don't know if it's good. I really don't. I don't. I feel like people are just losing like I said earlier, the way to communicate. Like, are we actually speaking? Like, sometimes when I talk to people like at shows who are 20 and younger, 18, in that range, like, I don't know that we know how to talk the same. I feel like I was right on the edge of right before social media, or not right before it. When I was growing up at 18, phones weren't as important. I didn't have a phone till I was 18. Now I can't imagine someone being 11 and not having a phone, And so it creates a different headspace in the way I think and the way they think. So yeah, I don't, maybe the likes and thing, I know they've changed some of the likes and etc. I just want, my frustration is, if I want my content to be seen by everybody who follows me, why should they not? Like especially as a band now, you get a bunch of analytics on different things, and I mean, sometimes only 1,000 people of your audience will have seen your post.
Yeah.
And that's it's a hard thing for a band who only has 5,000, or 5,000 followers in that market, I suppose, is, well, what about the other 4,000 people? This is the way I get my content out, It's a hard thing to figure out how to and that's why I said I wanted to almost do the mail packaging thing, is I knew every single person that had subscribed was going to receive this package of mail. Mm-hmm. And it's 100% rate that they're going to receive it. Now, it's not 100% rate of what they're going to do with it, but it's 100% that they will receive it. And that's where I kind of see the struggles in terms of what it does for my band and what it does for our group is just, I don't know, you have to have the perfect post and the perfect thing and the perfect stuff, and sometimes like things aren't perfect, Mm-hmm. Not everybody has the same budget to work with. Mm-hmm. Not about everybody has the same equipment to work with.
Right.
But you provided a platform for people to put themselves on display. So, I don't know, that's where I struggle with it some.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily if I have an opinion on how to fix it or how for people to do better, because obviously this is a great thing we've been given. So I'm not going to sit here and complain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the right. Sometimes I think if I don't know exactly what I want to say, maybe my opinion just isn't important right now.
Yeah. But I think you made a good point. It's a double-edged sword, and it has connected, the.
How do you feel it as a someone who is, I don't know, following certain people or interested in certain things? Like, do you feel like you're getting the content? Like, do you enjoy it? I mean, are you?
Yeah, so it's I think the most powerful people in the world are the people who are writing the algorithms for Facebook and Twitter and all these, and like Google and all that stuff, mm-hmm. Because they control what you see, mm-hmm. And it is, I think, you have to navigate it like a game, like an actual, same thing with, because like dating apps have also kind of really changed the game as far, in a lot of ways, but you have to treat those things like a game, and I think it can easily cause someone to spiral out of control, and we've seen it, and there's a inflation of ego that I just don't really, I don't think it's helping our society. I don't think that the way that we can, communicate on Twitter, it seems to be mostly on Twitter where all like the really toxic stuff goes down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In terms of negativity.
Yeah. We're in really really strange political times.
We are in strange times.
The barometer for what is like left and what is right is kind of been, has kind of been, I guess, more polarized, and everything has become more polarized and categorized, and I think, as you know, it's as easy as it is to demonize something like social media, you also have to take into consideration like I'm here because of Facebook.
Sure.
Your
interaction with so many people across the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like I emailed you to come. So it's like, it's just as I wouldn't say it's just as good. I'm not going to say that, but yeah, there's definitely, you just really have to keep your eye on it. It's more, and the people at Facebook know this, and that's why the whole like being addicted to likes and the views and everything. It can really,
and it is an
that's
addiction.
why they don't that's why they don't let their kids use it. All these execs and everything, they don't let their kids have that stuff because they know how much of an effect it has on children. So it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah,
I hear you.
I personally, I'm doing this for me. Like, I'm not doing this just to post something. I know, I've sat and thought about it, and I know that this is just something, it's like a creative outlet that I like to do. And at some point, I was just having some conversations with people, and there were, enough people, were like, you should start a podcast. Like, you should actually, put effort into that. So that's how I got to, and it's so easy to produce, really, or I guess easier than like writing music or putting out music. But it's something you have to kind of distance yourself from.
I hear you. I think that is an important thing to remember for any small artist, anybody who is any path that you're trying to come up in. Remember, even as far through it as you can, however far you get, remember that why you started it was because you wanted to do it, and it was something you were interested in and something you were trying to express. Because you hit a point sometimes where you talked about the likes and the views and the how big are you, etc. It's like you hit a point sometimes where you lose the creativity and you lose the inspiration, and you almost just start comparing those things rather than just doing what you wanted to do, which was make songs, build a fan base, build people a community that wanted to be a part of those songs. Yeah. So I hear you, man. Keep focused, keep doing it as something that you love rather than ever comparing to how big is this person's podcast compared to mine, Yeah. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. If you have a small group of people that are, that are contributing or that are listening, then that there's so many options out there, so that the people that are gonna get through the entire podcast or get through, and actually care about your stuff, you'll know that they're the ones that are gonna stick by your side. And if you don't, then that's totally up to you. You can listen to another podcast. That's perfect.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's kind of how I see it. It's just building. That's what I got into it for. If I could just have a very 1,000 or whatever it may be, just get your little community of people around you.
Everything starts small.
Start there. Yeah.
No one started big. If they did, I bet they failed quickly. Yeah. There's a lot of people that can build something that somebody builds for them quickly, and it has no legs. They didn't build a foundation. Yeah. They didn't build stability. We went a year without putting out songs. Yeah. This past year, I mean, patience. We just did. We just didn't know. We were kind of lost, and we didn't. But people still show up. You know what I mean? People are still listening to songs because I felt like we built a foundation. So yeah, keep that in mind, man.
Absolutely.
So, what we got next on the docket?
Ex-lover syndrome. Let's talk about that.
Oh boy.
I love it personally. So is it? So it's just another single that you've put out?
Yeah, Ex-lover syndrome. Then we put out a song called Fight.
That's right.
Those two singles.
Yeah. So talk to us about, because I tried looking up the lyrics on. Ex-lover syndrome lyrics are not posted yet on any site, so I couldn't find. I was trying to dissect that song. Yeah. But some of the themes of that song. Take us through some of that, because that almost ties into what we were just talking about with some instability or something.
Sure. That song, it was a different version to start. We were in the mountains in North Carolina this past spring, kind of like February through March. We were in the mountains in North Carolina. We went on a riding trip, and like I said, we were kind of lost on what our next bit of songs were, and we just decided to go to the mountains and write for a few days. And we'd been working on that song a little bit, so we had like a piece. We had like a guitar part, and then I had the Your Ex-Lover. This was a different melody at the time. So when that's all we had, but I had gotten that ex-lover idea. I was laying in bed with my ex-girlfriend at the time. It was late at night, about to go to bed, and she said something about, I said ex-lover, she said ex-lover, somehow something like that happened. And for some reason, the click in my mind, like ex-lover syndrome, how people just repeat, it's like we just repeat the same person. And that had happened a few times in my relationships. We'd split, we got back together, we split, we got back together. I obviously equate that to there was something that you were really connected with that person, but I also think people get comfortable, and they were afraid to see if there's anything better out there. Because the person they have is pretty great too.
Yeah.
There's no assurance that there's someone better. What happens when you leave the person that you do love, and you don't know if you ever find anybody else that equals that or can match that.
Yeah.
There's no certainty to it. So people kind of repeat the same status of breaking up for good reasons, getting back together, and it's just that type of vibe. That's kind of what the song was about, while also every time when you split up, I always had those experiences where your ex would be back in town and you guys would get together for a bit, or for like when she was in town, you're back together, and then when she's gone, you're split up again. So that was the vibe of the song. It took on like a bunch of different emotions for me, because at the time, me and my girlfriend ended up splitting up in February, and I've dated her for 4 years, so that was the longest relationship in my life, and that, I don't know. So it was a weird time for that song to be developing when taking it in the studio. You were taking on, like, honestly, a bunch of sad emotions. So I hope people hear there's a dark tone to that song. Yeah. And also, just kind of going through because there's, like, I guess people give me, like, opinions based on some of the verses are "Come a little closer, girl, we got some unfinished business." It's like, I don't know, that's how I feel like when you come back together, sometimes you feel that sexual connection, you feel that fun, and that's kind of what that is. But the honesty that I think we'd like that repetitive, that feeling safe with the person that we've already done this with, So that's the vibe of the song. I really loved writing it. We had the idea. I told you we took the idea to the mountains, and then we didn't really come out of it with something that was great. And I came home one day, and I told Christian was downstairs, and I was like, I think this song needs to change to just like a straight driving beat, and let's move what we had as the pre-chorus to a chorus. Let's open up the chorus, and that's where we got to I wrote a new pre-chorus, and that kind of we just shifted everything to that nature of the song. And we wrote it in 2 hours, an hour and a half. Like, it was just like boom. And like, for me, I write songs a lot of times in weeks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, some people write songs fast. I take time, or like it takes time. So that one was kind of just bumped out pretty quick.
Flowed pretty nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Breakups are, they're awful.
They're tough, man.
And the thing about, like, I haven't done too much research into it, but like some time can pass, and you'll think that you're good, or you think of, but if you start reflecting on good times with that person, it's like scratching a wound. You're like reopening a wound in your mind, basically, that releases whatever certain in your brain, and you'll have those, it can come up again. And I had my first like real adult relationship, and that ended in April of this year, and we were together. It was only for like a year and a half, but I like you become so much more aware of your feelings once they've been shattered, and you're so much more aware of, just I guess it's all your feelings, because
how easily we as people can hurt each other.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just like someone who you thought that you were going to stay together with for life is just now you have to put them in the category of like a stranger, basically.
Isn't it weird how that switches, how you go from telling this person everything? And that was one of our big issues, and that she expressed was, how do we go from telling each other everything to now, this next 2 months, we can't even speak to each other, or we can't even, the next few months, you almost have to put up this huge wall to somebody that you literally had all the walls down to.
Yeah.
Isn't that such a weird concept that...
It's awful.
It's bad, man. It's bad. I don't know how to do a better job at it. Like, I don't know how to do a better job at breakups, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, love is, all these things are, like, I paint with a pretty broad brush, so I think that, like love is a drug, basically. And when that person leaves you, there's certain bacterias and like you are actually like they are actually inside of you, as far as like
100%.
They're like so and after someone leaves you, like all those all those what am I trying to say? Like all those, like all the bacteria, like leaves your body in some way, shape, or form. So that person is physically leaving you. It's
a cool way to think of it.
As well as emotionally. But like, I didn't go to college, so I don't really have like a core friend group. Most people our age, have those core friend groups in college. I went to trade school, and that was. It was good for me. I just went straight into the workforce. So like that was like my best friend and really just like the only person I was like close to outside of like my family members. And yeah, when that person is just gone, that switch can and my ex is not as she's not as willing to do stuff like have like flings everyone, so
sure.
So yeah, like that was it. Like when we drove away,
that is tough.
You had to realize that was the last time that you're gonna see that person. I'll be 24 tomorrow.
Cool, man. That's exciting.
Yeah, I turned 20.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's exciting. You're a December baby. What are you, Sagittarius?
I don't know. I don't keep up with
Sagittarius.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've been told that before. I don't keep track of all that. But yeah, I like being a December baby. It's nice.
Yeah, man. That's
nice
fun.
And close to Christmas.
There's been you said you don't keep up with it. I was you a while, like a few years ago. And then, man, there's just so many things that line up to me that I came from a very religious background, church, Baptist, Southern Baptist church vibe. I feel like you could probably hear that in a bunch of our songs, honestly, especially the Motel record. I mean, it was strongly based in where we came from and where we were now. In terms of our thought, in terms of our actions, that record was that was that record. But so I don't know. I didn't put much stock into horoscopes and just anything outside of faith-based things until I really got to be, I guess, when I started into college, and I didn't even put much stock into those things. Then I kind of was just fading away more from the faith that I had learned into finding whatever new faith I have, and but when somebody kind of like walked me through the horoscopes, and then just the more experience I had with it, I was like, damn, these things are like pretty close, like each person in different sections. Actually, our drummer, me and Bryant, have the same birthday, January 10th. We're both Capricorns, 2 years apart, and how similar we are in so many ways is just incredible. I don't know. I started putting stock in it, at least some bit. I don't have a ton of stock in it, but I think it's neat to see. I think you can gain perspective from each person from it.
Yeah.
Not define a person, but gain perspective. I guess that's my point.
Yeah. I don't completely count it out. I know that a lot of girls are into it, and girls like females just have a better like social sense of they're more empathetic. So
Uh-huh.
I think that there's something to it. Like
Sure.
like I said, I've just never really taken
Yeah,
the time.
no, I hear you. There's plenty of things to spend our time on. That one doesn't have to be one.
Exactly. Well, I'd like to be respectful to your time. I don't know.
Sure,
We've been here almost an hour. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you would like to plug, or any upcoming shows, or anything that you guys are doing?
We are. I'm actually about to have a phone call with our producer, the same guy that we did the first two songs with,
Cool.
Ex Lover and Fight, where we'll put out a third single in January.
Okay.
Which I think will be one of our better songs we've ever put out. At least one that means the most to us. It almost defines this year for us.
Okay.
This past year has been the toughest year of my life.
You just finished a tour.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we did. The summer tour was awesome. It was really good. It was therapeutic, everything. One of the most up and down, longest years of my life. So hopefully this song defines that in some way. But yeah, so we'll put that out in January, and then in the spring, we actually have just recorded 4 more songs in LA. I go to finish in LA with the 4 new songs. Kind of looking at one single and then an EP of some sorts that is working itself out. I don't know when that's coming out, but that's at least we have songs that are in play. And we'll be going on tour at the end of March through April. I can't really say with who or what, but that's kind of our plan for this year. We're all kind of moving out of our house that we've lived in for 6 years now.
Here in Nashville?
Yeah, here in Nashville.
What area? Where you been
I live about 8 minutes from you, right near the Harding Place.
Okay.
Yeah, that area.
Okay.
So yeah, dude, we're super close. When you said where you were, I went to Drury's to drop off some film, so I was like, damn, he's so close to me.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's the vibe. We're all kind of moving out, kind of figuring out ourselves while also keeping the band going. Maybe it'll be a new vibe for us to figure out how to function together pretty well since we aren't living together.
Okay. Well, that'll be fun, man.
Yeah.
Well, have a Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate it a lot. Thanks for having me, dude. It was fun.